Hi there, I'm Kelly. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my minivan. It's so nice to have you here. I came outside to get a little bit of nice lighting and some quiet for my kiddos. They are not toddlers, so don't worry. They are old enough for me to be in the front yard in the driveway for a little bit. But anyhow, this is my very first wrap up. This is my April wrap up, and today will be 4 weeks since I posted my very first video. Of course, you'll be seeing this a little bit later, but I just wanted to talk to you guys about all the books that I read in the month of April. So the first book I read didn't end up being in my TBR video that I made because I had finished it beforehand, but it was technically the beginning of April that I finished it, and it is Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. And you will have to watch my review that I did on this book. It will hit before this video will onto YouTube, and oh my goodness, I knew that it was a dystopian. It had been on my TBR on my library app for a really long time, but I had no idea that it was about a pandemic. So you can see my reaction to realizing that fact when I read Station 11. It was a pretty good book. It's definitely, you know, one of those dystopian adventure type books, and it had some pretty good character development. So you might want to check it out if you're okay with pandemic stuff. And Caraval was the next book that I read. And when I was doing the TBR for this book, I had said that I wasn't really so sure about it so far, that I had started it and was partway through. And I feel like this book to me at first was a victim of being a little bit overhyped. And I really ended up, by the end of the book, enjoying it quite a bit. I think that Stephanie Garber is a good world builder. And at first I wasn't necessarily enjoying the sisters that are the main characters in the book, but it ended up being very good. This book deals with a traveling game carnival type thing, and I was hoping that I was in my head, I was like, this is going to be a lot like Night Circus, and there are some similarities, but I think I was a little bit disappointed because it had been overhyped to me. But I definitely recommend it because I think that she's a good world builder, and I hear that it gets even better. I was kind of iffy about the romance, but I ended up, I wasn't liking it at first, but I ended up liking it a little bit more towards the end of it. So I'm definitely going to be probably continuing on with that series. And I feel like in my TBR, I gave it a little bit of a bad rap. I think actually the author is a pretty good author. So I will be continuing on with that fantasy YA series. So the next book I read after that was House of Many Ways, and my TBR discussed being nervous because it is in the Howl's Moving Castle series. I messed up. I thought I was getting book 2, but I ended up getting book 3. House of Many Ways is book 3 in the series, and it was funny, and it was more of a standalone. I know that they call it part of Howl's Moving Castle series, but I feel like this is more of a standalone novels that are in the same world. I didn't get quite the same feeling I got from Howl's Moving Castle, but I really still thought it was funny. You do see some of the characters from Howl's Moving Castle show up. We have some new characters that I feel were they were their own individual fun selves as well. And definitely it's one to check out if you like that Howl's Moving Castle universe. If you've seen the movie, if you've read the first book, Howl's Moving Castle, I think you will enjoy it. It's just funny. It gives you good, feel-good fantasy, appropriate really for, I think, most ages, you know, from middle school on up. I mean, I wouldn't have any problem letting my 7-year-old hear it in an audiobook. So as long as your kids aren't really sensitive to things that are mildly scary, very mildly scary, I think it's a good book, and any age would really enjoy it. So next I read, and I did not complete this. It's something I'm going to be continuing to read over time, and this one I didn't get from the library. I own it in my collection. This is the Young Folks Shelf of Books, and it's a poetry edition, and so it does have some sweet little nursery rhymes that we all have heard as children, but it also has a lot of children's poetry, including some Emily Dickinson and some Robert Frost and those types of wonderful children's poetry. And I really enjoyed what I've read so far, and will definitely be using this to homeschool my kids. And the 2022-2023 school year. Some of the great poetry that is in there. So after I finished doing a little bit of that here and there, I started reading A Torch Against the Night, which is the second book in the Ember and Ashes series by Sabaa Tahir. And I really liked the first book a lot. This one I liked as well. I felt like it was maybe a little bit long. It follows a girl who is living in a very military type society, and she has to pretend to be a slave in order to try to free her brother from this situation. And she is a very strong character, and I do like the romance that has been set up. And they tried to do that. There was something very, I was like, oh, I'm gonna hate this. I think they're gonna do this love triangle thing, and that ended up being a little interesting twist that I liked. Actually, I'm not a big fan of love triangles, but I actually enjoyed this little twist that happens in the story. So if you liked Ember and the Ashes and you think you might want to continue on with the series, I feel like it's so far so good, so I will probably continue on with that as well. So after that, I read, it was a lot of YA fantasy this month, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs, and it was heartwarming, it was intense at times, it was sweet. It had wonderful, interesting vintage pictures that haven't really been touched up that enhance the story. And I liked it. I recommend it. And the last book, I didn't talk about in my TBR. I finished the other things that I wanted to read and decided to pick this up from the library. Actually, Ransom Riggs' wife, Sorry for the Glare, Tahereh Mafi. This is my first Tahereh Mafi read, and it's a new series, which I'm mad at myself. I thought I was getting an old series that was complete. So this is the first book in this series. It just came out. This Woven Kingdom. I think this cover is so beautiful. It's about a girl who I won't spoil. Who she has some interesting abilities, and she is in hiding as a servant, but she really is someone else. And there are reasons why she is hiding. She has physical features where she wants to cover up, and fortunately for her, even though she is posing as a lowest of society servant, she has to wear a sonoda over her face, which covers up some things she doesn't want others to see about her. So I liked this. I felt like I'm still iffy about the romance situation in it, but I enjoyed it. I think it's worth a read, and I liked the world that Tahereh Mafi has set up for us. So I look forward to finding out what happens next. We do end on a pretty good cliffhanger here with this book, so check it out. Well, thanks for watching this wrap up. I really appreciate it. I hope that you had a wonderful April with your reads, and have a great May. I will be doing a May reading TBR soon. So I hope you read a lot. I'll leave my social media information. Of course, I appreciate when you comment so I can engage with you. And if you like this material, like and subscribe to my channel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.